Oh my God, really? Wow. Stan Lee was here? That's awesome. Wow, cool.
So you started out with the Tick a few years ago, and how did that get started for you? How did you get your break?
The Tick came about because I'd done a series for Barry Sonnenfeld before called Maximum Bob that was actually my favorite thing. It was pretty much my favorite thing I'd ever worked on. It was with Beau Bridges, and I played a lawyer and he played a judge, and it was in Florida. It was based on an Elmore Leonard novel, and I had a great time working on it. It got canceled after 6 or 7 episodes, which was kind of my track record at the time, until finally CSI helped me break it. But and then after I got off Maximum Bob, they asked if I wanted to do another series for the same producers, and I'd known Patrick Warburton for a very, very long time. So as soon as I found out he was going to be in tights and a blue suit, I was like, sign me up, because I want to see some of that.
And then you did CSI for 5 years.
Yeah.
How was that as a long-term series?
It didn't get canceled after 6 episodes, despite the fact that I was on it, which was awesome. It was great. I mean, I got to go meet real CSIs. I got to go to Vegas. I got to go and follow around the guy who was the actual Grissom. And it was fascinating. I got to go in real crime scenes. I got to see autopsies. Working on the show itself was interesting. I mean, the people are fantastic, but the highlight of my time there, aside from Wally Langham, who is one of my favorite people on earth, but the highlight was writing one. I got to write an episode in the 10th season, which has changed a lot for me because I've gotten heavy into writing since then.
And which episode did you write?
It was called Field Mice. And it was one of the Lab Rats episodes, and we had sort of young CSI wannabes come and follow us around, and we took them on this adventure, and yeah, it was really cool. I got to sit in on casting, and I got to go to all of the production meetings and wrote the script, so it was a fascinating experience.
So more behind the scenes work as well.
Yeah, since then I worked on 2.5 Men for a while, and then I don't know if you heard, but Charlie Sheen had kind of a tiny breakdown. He's not really on the show anymore. So I was playing his girlfriend. So I wasn't on that anymore after that. And then I wrote a pilot and I sold it to NBC. And then they asked me to write another one. And then I wrote one for Kristen Ritter, who was on Breaking Bad and Don't Trust the Bee. And now I'm writing another one for cable. So it's been great, actually.
So hopefully one of them someday will get picked up for a series more than 6 episodes.
Yeah, I hope so. I tell you, it's really hard. I mean, you know, there's a lot of competition out there as an actor or as a writer to get a show to stick. It's really hard to get a show to stick. CSI has managed it. With all the spin-offs and everything, it's rather amazing. The longer that I'm in the business, the more I see that a juggernaut hit like that show is just incredibly rare.
Okay, can we open it up for questions from the audience?
Sure. Hello.
So what was your role better than Charlie?
I was texting him while he was in New York. Because, the God's honest truth is he was writing a movie, and this is a funny story, actually. He pulled me aside and he said, I would like for you to play the female version of me. And I said, in what? And he said, I'm writing a movie and I want to shoot it in my dad's backyard. And I was like, oh my God, if he's President Bartlett, yes, I'll definitely do it, because I'm a huge West Wing fan, and obviously, his dad is incredibly talented. So I said, sure, I'll do it. So I sat with Charlie and he said, let's find out how alike we are. And I was like, oh, this is not going to go well. He's like, you ever done any drugs? I was like, well, not like you. and he just kept asking questions to see how alike we were. And I convinced him that I could do it. And he said he was going to write it. And he went to New York. And it was one of the infamous trips where many things happened. And I texted him and I was like, what the hell are you doing? He goes, well, I was trying to write your movie, but I didn't quite get to it. So that's my only part in his breakdown, is that I didn't get to play the female version of Charlie Sheen in his movie that never got written. Color me shocked. Yeah. True Calling was great. True Calling was great. I had been friends with Jason Priestley for a long time, so that was really fun, because he's just something about those Canadian boys. They are nice to a fault. I mean, they really are. dated plenty of them. But Jason's great. So that was the highlight for me. Well, and Eric Christian Olsen was on it too. And Lizzie Kaplan was on it. I didn't get to work with either one of them too much, but they were very nice people. Oh my God, I did, didn't I? Wow, I had to kiss him. He's all famous now. I know, I have Midas lips. He's great. He's hysterical. The biggest thing I remember about him is that he was driving an old beat-up blue van that looked like a kidnapper van, and he was driving it around when we shot, and the horn was broken, so it would just arbitrarily beep at people, and he would just, every time somebody would look and they'd glare, and he'd be like, "Peace, man, peace," and that was our experience, was just driving around in Canada watching movies together. But yeah, he's good. He actually, I think, in addition to being really funny, I just thought he was a terrific, terrific actor. Like he reminded me of Richard Dreyfuss. There were things he did that were just so brilliant. I thought he was terrific. Yeah. Yep.
Can I ask, with the writing of the pilots, what's your genre? What are you writing?
It started off as comedy mostly. I wrote a half-hour sitcom for NBC. And that went really well, and then they gave me a deal to write another half-hour sitcom, and then The Thing for Kristen Ritter was also a sitcom, and now I'm writing a half-hour show. So yeah, I mean, it's been mostly comedy. I wrote a drama that I really love, and there's no dome over my small town, there are no aliens, it's hard to, it's actually very much like Northern Exposure, and it's something that's based on something that happened in my real life, so it's a drama that I care about very deeply, but I just got producers attached to turn it into a movie, so hopefully, and I'm married to a DP, so since I'm sleeping with him, I think I can get a cheap DP, and so I'm hoping we can make this, we can make the movie relatively soon, but right now, like I just got notes from my producers on this half hour that I'm developing right now. I got them this morning, and I'm really excited about it. It's been a cool change.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I owe a lot. Narain Shankar was the producer on CSI, and for some reason, just I would go in with suggestions. They were very nice hearing suggestions about dialogue, and that show is so, I mean, it has to be. It's so much about the evidence that sometimes the characters don't get to do very much with each other. And so Wally and I went in and pitched that we should have a relationship. And so some of the stuff that I helped write, Narain saw that and asked if I wanted to write an episode. And I have this theory you should say yes before the fear sets in. So he's like, "Do you want to write an episode?" "Absolutely." And I drove home and was like, God. So, yeah, and I got to sit in with the writers and learn how to break a story, and it was great. It's been a fascinating experience. Thanks. Thanks.
And Captain Liberty has a question.
Ah,
How was working on Nikki and Nora with kind of everything going on with gay rights and all of that? I know that most of the episodes were kind of online and not distributed widely, but what was it like working on something like that?
we shot the pilot in 2004, and I was surprised. It was a CBS pilot. It was for UPN at the time, but it was owned by CBS. And the most interesting thing to me, I mean, they're known for being a conservative network as far as their primetime programming, relatively conservative, I guess. It seems that way to me. Maybe I'm wrong. But I went in to test. I had to go do a test with Christina Cox, and it was a kissing scene. And it was interesting because I don't have any qualms about it. Like, none of it, I mean, it was not an issue. It was a total non-issue to me and a total non-issue to Christina. But before I walked in, they were so worried about what Les Moonves would say in the test, whether they should have been or not, because I honestly don't know if it was coming from him. But so there was this whole thing. You go in and you test in front of 30 network executives. You go do the scene in front of all these suits, and they are notoriously not very responsive. And so before we walked in to do our chemistry read, they were like, okay, do the kiss. And then we start to walk in. No, don't do the kiss. Okay. And then we start to walk in. Do the kiss. No, don't do the kiss. They were so concerned about how people would react. I would say, I'm happy to report, I think a lot has changed since then. I think in 2004, it was very brave of them, at least they thought so, to potentially make a show with lesbian leads. I don't see it as being as big of an issue now. I still think that they're underrepresented as part of the population. I'd love for it to get a life beyond being a web series now, because I just think it's important. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a harder time then, I think, to try and sell something like that. But you know, thanks. It was a fun pilot, really fun pilot. We shot in New Orleans. It's a terrible place to shoot a pilot. It's very hard to concentrate and do your work. Yes?
When you talk about writing these pilots, are you writing anything in the pilots that you'd like now geared towards writing more so than putting that in the background or background?
The answer to the second one, which is easier, is yes. I'm concentrating more on writing, but only because I started acting when I was 9, and and this is all very fortunate, and I realized this, like I got on a soap when I was 16, and it's an interesting thing because I've been tussling with it a little bit over the last couple of years because I think, well, I kind of want to do something a little bit different, and I was giving myself so much grief about it, and then I thought, oh, I guess it makes sense that I don't play with the same toys that I played with when I was 9. I don't do a lot of things that I did when I was 9. Why wouldn't I want to grow and move in a different direction? I still like acting very much, so if it's something very specific, I would do it in a second. Like the Nikki and Nora web series, I went back and shot that, in a hot minute because I just had a great time. And as far as the writing, the first pilot that I sold with myself attached to be the lead. Now I tend to write, mostly, I mean, honestly, it's been sort of like I haven't been right for the characters that I've been writing about. The Kristen Ritter thing was written for her, for people, she's 31. I've almost felt bad saying that. Everybody can check it, it's on IMDb, so screw it. She's 31. And so it was, written for her peers. So eventually I would write myself something, mostly to keep my SAG insurance. I'd write myself a nice juicy recurring. Yeah. Yep. It was interesting because I don't think you can be in a bad mood in superhero costumes. In the first place, it was during an election, and it was a rather heated election, and there were 4 of us were the main characters. Half of us were on one side, and half of us were on the other. And I just recall this image of us getting in a political debate, sitting there in the Formosa set, it was our Chinese restaurant thing, and we were getting in a political argument, and all of us started laughing at the same time because it's like, we're in a fucking cape. I mean, like, we can't really talk about this. So that was sort of funny because it was almost impossible to be in a bad mood. But the other thing that I remember so clearly is Patrick Warburton, and the 3 of us, the rest of us, made this promise that we'd never ever complain about our costumes in any way, shape, or form because in the pilot especially, it was one piece, and he couldn't like get out to go to the bathroom unless somebody undressed him from the whole thing. So then they finally give him a 2-piece thing for the series, which was great, but it was still really tight, and he had to have this small female assistant who would rub him with, some sort of lotion to put him in the costume, and then he would just sort of steep in his own juices all day, and he'd take the headpiece off, and you just see steam rise out. I mean, the poor guy, it was amazing. He lost so much weight doing that thing because he was sweating all day long. So it was kind of crazy for him, but he was, and they wheeled him around in this thing that looked like Hannibal. Like, they'd put him on this I swear, and they'd wheel him around, and he had air conditioning, like, pipes going up into his costume. It was crazy. But I have to say, he's an incredible guy, so he never complained about it. He was always very sweet and loved that show. Loved it. Yes?
Going back to the writing a little bit, when you're writing the comics or whatever, are they just characters, or do you actually attach maybe actors to or actresses to them to get you going along?
I can do it both ways, basically. I mean, what I've done mostly is you go into a network room and you pitch your idea, and you do a sort of 15-minute song and dance, and you pitch your ideas about the characters, the arcs of the characters, the theme of the show, the plot of the show, and it's great. I mean, the acting background comes in handy because I honestly don't understand how writers who've never had to act before and never had to get in front of big groups, I don't understand how they go in and tell stories like that, because it's not. I mean, it's a daunting task. You're going in front of the heads of the network and you're trying to say, give me a bunch of money to write this thing. So you have to really sell it. Sometimes I've done it with people attached, and sometimes I haven't. Kristen Ritter's name certainly helped. Plus, she's great in a room. I mean, she's ridiculously gorgeous and smarter than you would think to look at somebody that ridiculously gorgeous. Like, she's a tough cookie and very, very smart. And so you take her in a room, and it's like, well, this is it's a good luck charm. But the thing that I just sold, I didn't sell with anybody attached. I had written it on spec, and the network read it, and they said, we really like this. We need you to change a couple things. Come in and pitch the changes. I did. They bought it, and so now I'm in the middle of sort of rewriting the way they want it. So, yeah. Anybody?
How is that process then? I realize that you changes, having to rewrite and going back into it? Is it a lot of waiting to find out what they want, or does it
It turns around pretty quickly, but the thing that I've learned, that I was just saying this to somebody today, because there's another actor here today who's started writing, and I said the biggest thing that I learned was that when you get notes, you take the spirit of the note, because sometimes the networks are developing 80 different things. So sometimes their questions, like they know what they're missing, but they don't really know how to describe it. Like I had written one show, and it was about these two people. I mean, this is a small part of it, but they were raising a child, and the child swallows something in the first scene, and it's just sort of a passing thing, and it wasn't a big deal. So I get a network note, and one of the guys said, I think that they should wait the entire half hour to see, they're waiting to see if it comes out. And I was like, that's cool if you want a show about waiting for a kid to take a crap. Like, I don't find that very funny. But I realized what they were missing was they wanted danger. They wanted the kid. They wanted something to be wrong with the kid. They needed the parents to be worried. But I didn't want it to be that. So I started to learn that you can sort of take the spirit of what it is and try and figure out and extract what they're missing and go from there. So I've learned a lot, because the first time I got notes, I tried to do everything exactly like what they wanted, and you can't please everybody. And also, like I said, they can only tell you what they kind of feel is missing, but they can't quite put their finger on it. So,
like ingredients and something?
yeah.
Something's missing, but you don't.
And I'll tell you this, I know a lot of writers complain about network notes. I would say 9 times out of 10, they've absolutely made whatever I'm doing better. I may not like the way that they say the note. I may not take their suggestion for how to fix it, but it's gotten better 9 times out of 10 because of the notes. So, maybe I've just worked with really good people so far. I'll let you know. Yes? I think it would have to be, Wally would kill me if I didn't say this, probably the Astro Quest one, because yeah, it was really, actually, Noreen, the producer, he wrote me when he found out I was coming to this, and he said, you have to let me know if conventions are like what we wrote, because he didn't know, and but yeah, that was really fun. That was really, really fun. It was fun because I got to go back and watch old Trek episodes, even though that's not what we were supposed to be ripping off, but we obviously were, and it was just fun. It was a very big one for me and for Wally together, and the fantasies were great, and it was really fun, and nobody gets to do that on CSI. I mean, that's crazy. I'll tell you, I've never done more sit-ups in my entire life. That costume was small.
So you were in the Tick for a while, and now you see people dressed up as, your character from the Tick. How does that make you feel all these years later to see people still enjoying it and getting dressed up as characters from your show?
It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. I mean, I thought the show, Fox didn't know what to do with it at the time. I think if it was out now, that it would have had a much, much, much better chance. I think it's nice that it's now out on DVD and people are watching it, and so I've sort of been reading, people are tweeting me, and it's sort of like a resurgence of the show, which is great. But to see that, it was amazing. It's really amazing. It's nice to know that that people watched and that people loved it. It was kind of cool. I got to go on a tour of the White House because of that show. I was in Washington with my husband, and we were doing a charity job, and I was sitting with the guy in charge of the charity, and he said, I just got a text from Obama's personal assistant. Were you on a show called The Tick? I said, these are words I never thought would go, yeah. So apparently she texted him back. She goes, oh my God, I love that show. Tell her to show up tomorrow at 9. So the guy says to me, do you want to go on a private tour of the White House tomorrow at 9? I was like, no. What? Yeah, of course I do. So then I get this text from Patrick Warburton, and he said, hey, I think you're in Washington. I'm in town with my kid. Do you want to hang out? And I was like, sure, how about the White House at 9 a.m. tomorrow? So Patrick showed up, and we went on a tour of the White House because of the Tick. And it was just the coolest damn thing because, the show didn't go for very long. It got trounced by, I believe, CSI was one of the reasons that we died, which is why I told them straight out when they gave me that job that they owed me. But I just, I thought, it's just so cool. It's cool that it left. It's cool that it left a mark, and I always appreciate the fans from it because it's a very particular type of person. I've liked every Tick fan to a fault.
So what was it like being in a daytime show versus the weekly shows? Was it harder to do, or was it easier to do?
Oh, the soap?
The soap?
I was 16 when I got on that, and I moved to New York with my mom, and we lived in the middle of Manhattan in Hell's Kitchen in a tiny one-bedroom apartment, and I was over the moon because I'd done theater starting when I was 9, and I'd never done a TV show. So you learn 30 pages a day, but I didn't, I mean, in the first place, I had a 16-year-old brain, so that, like, it didn't even occur to me that that was a lot. Mostly I cried on that show, so that's all I did. I cried a lot. They give you a lot of lip gloss. Yeah, I mean, it was a really fun experience to do it, but I'd never done TV before, so I didn't know anything different. And then when I started doing prime time, it was like, oh, I only have to do 6 pages a day. And then you do a movie, and then they're like, oh, you only have 2 pages a day, so it gets progressively easier as far as memorization goes. But yeah, I thought the soap was excellent training ground. It was really a fun job, and it let me get used to having a camera shoved right in my face and having to speak anyway.
So is that something you would do, is go back to acting, or are you more focusing on, carrying on with the writing career?
I think the writing seems to be winning out right now. Like I said, I'd go back if it was the right show, but right now, the writing is really good, and it's fulfilling a part of me. Meetings are different. Like, I mean, it's just auditions as an actress. You go in front of rooms, and, people... You get a job or you don't get a job for so many different reasons, and some of them you can't control, and sometimes you look like somebody's ex-girlfriend. Sometimes, there's a friend of mine, and you guys would know this person because I'm sure you watch Buffy, but Danny Strong is now like a huge big deal as a writer, like a gigantic deal as a writer, and I was talking to him about it, and we were talking about meetings and just how different it is to go in and meet people as a writer and sit and talk and have them listen to you rather than getting up and doing material and feeling like you're, sort of tap dancing for them a little bit. So it's a nice feeling. He's been actually incredibly encouraging and very helpful. He's an inspiration.
Is there anything that you would like to do down the road in terms of, writing or producing your own shows? Do you have an idea that you've, kicked around for a while and just haven't had the opportunity yet to do?
Well, if I can do this movie, I'd be really happy because it's based on my family in Georgia. It's a very, very close, it's a story that's close to my heart. So that the first pilot I sold, I would really like to see it made sometime, and Universal still owns it, and they're still kicking it around and trying to see if they can find a place for it. But no, I mean, I would love to get a series on the air. I would love to. A friend of mine was an actor, and he produces The Fosters on ABC Family, and it's just been great to watch this. He was an actor for so many years, and now he produces The Fosters, and I just think that's something I would love to experience, is producing a show for 5 years. It'd be great. That's not asking for much. Anybody else? Yeah. That's a good question. I can think a lot of my friends that I would hit up to come and work on something. That's easy. I'm going to write another show for Kristen Ritter's production company. I don't know if she would be in it. It's very easy for me to write in her voice. She's got a very particular voice. And we're also very similar as far as our dating. When I was her age, like, we had very similar taste in men. So I kind of get her. So it's fun writing for her. And also she's just wonderful to work with. I don't know that there's any friend that I would write for specifically. I have a lot of friends that, I have a lot of really funny friends. Like, you know who I would write for in a second is Kristen Bauer. That's Kristen Bauer and I have been friends for 15 years, and she's one of the funniest women I've ever met, and just super talented, and I adore her. She was supposed to be here, and we both were so sorry that she wasn't, because we just laugh all the time together. So yeah, I would write something for her just in a second. She should be doing a lot of comedy. Yeah, right? She's great, isn't she? Yeah,
It blew my mind. I never really thought about her.
Have you met her? Oh, she'd blow your mind. I mean, honestly, it's crazy.
I
Like,
don't know if you know this or not, but we're actually from Calgary, so we don't get to meet a lot of these people.
I thought she didn't come to this last year?
Yeah, it was one of the ones that we didn't actually make, so that's why.
Okay, all right. Well, she was supposed to be here, but her work sort of impeded. But yeah, she's great. I'll tell her you say hi. She's been writing me all day. It's my first convention. I've never done this before, so she keeps writing. She's like holding my hand through my phone, going, "How are you? Is everything good? Are they treating you nicely?" Yeah, it's very sweet.
I was just going to ask, is it easier to write comedy or?
Comedy's easier for me because, to be perfectly blunt, I went through a lot. My family went through a lot growing up, and one of the ways we dealt with it was humor. So even if it's dark, it's my sister and I, in particular, we find that you have got to laugh about things as a survival mechanism. So comedy just seems to be where I go to, even when I've written dramas. And I think this is one of the things that CSI, like particularly the Lab Rats episodes that I really loved. I mean, it is literally life or death that we're talking about in the show, but they find some humor. When I went out and met with the real CSIs, it was great because that's how they deal. So no matter what I write, I find that it always has the funny in it. And I mean, I think the greatest writers in the world always put humor in it. I mean, I'm so not comparing myself, so don't even think it for a second. But I worship Joss Whedon, and one of the reasons that I worship him is because he can write anything, but it's always funny. There's always the heart and the funny, which I think makes people genuinely care about your characters. So anything that I write is going to have something funny in it, just because I like that. I watch that.
Just having you say this is your first time at a convention, why did you decide to come to Calgary and to do a convention?
I just say yes before I have time to think about it. I think it's a good way to live. Yeah, most of the time. So I said yes, and then Kristen was going to come, so that was going to be fun because we were going to hang out, and then my husband was going to come with me, and then both of them had work issues, so I came alone. But I met Rico from Aliens, and he was really nice, and I love Breaking Bad, and Gus is here, man. So I'm excited. It's cool, and everybody's been so sweet, and it's been really fun. So everybody's been very gentle with my first time, so I'm very grateful. Hello.
Is there any, you really think people on convention music and, you haven't had all schools, we have this classroom show, right? And so my question for you, when you think back to your different acting roles, so forth, is there any divisions within the industry when you switch your genre in roles, or people just respect, you can come on over from soaps to tech or comedy, or is there?
No, they were huge. When I started, it's a great question. It was really hard. A lot of very talented actors that were on the soap. Michael E. Knight, he played Tad on All My Children, and he's one of the more amazingly talented actors that I know. And he would say this himself, I'm not speaking out of school, but he had a really hard time when he came out to LA. He just didn't get things the way he should. He went back on the soap, came out to LA again, went back on the soap. Partially, I think it's because he was so popular on the soap that's why people they wanted him there. They knew him from that. I was on the soap for 2 years and out, and like I said, I cried most of the time. So it's not like people were going, "Dear God, why did Emily Ann have to go?" I mean, it wasn't quite the same. I think it was really hard at the time for a lot of people. I think it's certainly gotten much easier. I think people I was just talking about, I'm going to New York and I want to see Neil Patrick Harris on Broadway. I think he's effectively just, blown away everybody's expectations in every single genre and shown that somebody can do it all. I think Hugh Jackman has done that too, because for a while people were really snobby about TV people, movie people doing Broadway. And the truth is, some people are prodigiously talented and they can do a lot of different things. I think it's gotten much easier now. At the time, I remember I got off the soap and I was moving to LA, and my manager told me I would never work. My manager then, not my manager now. She was fired shortly thereafter. But she told me I wouldn't get work. And her exact quote was, I don't look like everybody else in LA, which I consider to be a strength, but she thought that would hamper me from working. But I just got really fortunate. I mean, the truth is, it's a gamble. For every 50 auditions, you might get one, maybe. And I lucked out. So, and I've been grateful ever since. it's just, you know, it's all the things that I've done. I'm proud of all of them. I mean, I'd say well, there are a couple jobs I did. I'm not, you know, like I needed a new couch or I had to pay the bills. But most of the things that I did, I'm happy to say I'm really proud of. I mean, there's some shows that didn't even last for very long or pilots that didn't get picked up, but I am incredibly proud to be part of them. CSI, I mean, it's crazy. Like, I got to walk around in that lab. I watched CSI before I got on it, and to work with those actors and to be a part of that, it means a lot. So yeah, I'm just proud. I mean, as far as comedy or drama or anything like that, I guess I'd rather be known for comedy a little bit, but you know, whatever. It's all been good.
Were you familiar with the Tick before you got on the live action version? And did you watch some of the cartoons kind of after?
I had seen the cartoon a couple times before because an ex-boyfriend of mine loved it. And then I got on the Tick, and of course they changed to Fledermaus and they changed American Made, which they had to do because Ben Edlund only had the rights to the Tick and Arthur. And then after getting to know Ben and Chris McCulloch really well, I went so far into that comic book world, it was unbelievable. Like I've read more comic books than most people I know, and spent more time in New York with, you know, in the Village with a bunch of comic book boys, learning about all of that, which is fascinating to me. I mean, has Ben ever done one of these? Has Ben Edlund ever done one of these? He's a character. He's a very interesting guy, so super smart. But yeah, so I got very into it after that. And I got an action figure, which honestly, like I was a Star Wars geek growing up, so.
No one here has it. I've checked all of them.
Get out, really? My prototype was the same head as Patrick Warburton. They sent it to me and they said, do you want to sign off on your prototype? And the hips were gigantic and it was Patrick Warburton's face. And so I have a letter from the manufacturer that said, per your recommendation, we have changed the face so it does not look as much like your male co-star, and we have reduced the size of your hip and posterior region. I have it framed in my office. I loved it.
Sorry, just curious, especially with the Tick, how much improv was actually, what came out of that?
None. We didn't improv any of that. Not that honestly, I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, because like Wally and I on CSI, they were very open to improv, and we did. The Tick just was such a particular voice, and just the way that, I mean, like, who's going to come up with Apocalypse Cow besides Ben? And there just wasn't anything to change. Like, I mean, I believe you change it if you think somehow it's making it better, or you're bringing more of yourself to it, or it feels a little more right coming out of your mouth. And God's honest truth. And I mean, my sister makes fun of me for how much I'll change dialogue. I'll change anything. But I don't think I changed a word on the Tick.
It's very shocking because we watch it religiously at night. Like it's our Paso
Yay.
TV show. And it's just, I mean, Patrick always has that voice. No matter what he's doing, he's always got that voice. And the Tick is just, it's so epically, perfectly him.
Yeah.
We always wondered how much of that was just him going off on a tangent, and how much of that was actually written.
Not a bit.
That's unbelievable. That's amazing writing.
Yeah, it was a really, really well-written show. Yeah, it's funny. I guess I never really thought about it that way, but I don't think we changed anything. No. Yeah.
Back on the other side.
So were you surprised you were going to pull off being mortal?
I love that episode. Here's McCulloch and I dated for a while, and he wrote that episode, and we were dating at the time, and he wrote that episode, and I was so happy because I was like, oh my God, I get so much fun stuff to do in this. And then I started analyzing it, and I was like, my boyfriend wrote an episode where I killed somebody by sleeping with him. Maybe I should be reading into this. But I loved that episode. I had so much fun doing that. Yeah, it was great. And I loved that, you know, he had the little lasers that came out of his eyes and burning the ceiling. And it was really fun. It was really fun.
Probably my favorite episode.
It was really funny, right? Yeah. I'll tell him you said so.
So how did your run at CSI end? Was it, were you written out by choice, or did they just up and decide one day that you were done?
Yeah, I've been asked this a couple times today. People asked why I left. I didn't leave. I got pushed. They had written off Gary Dordan, and then we had two producers that were equal as far as power, and one was a tiny bit higher. And the producer that got let go was the one that loved all the lab rat stuff and really loved the stuff with me and Wally. And he was pushed out. And I went on a vacation to Germany with my husband and came back and found out I didn't have a job. And, I talked to them about it, and they said, we weren't really sure what to write for you. And I said, well, I could give DNA results. That's one thing, yeah, it wasn't pretty, but now I can look at it, and the other producer was the one that let me write. And so, the gift out of all of this is that being on CSI is a fantastic thing. I think every actor on it would say the same thing, that, it's a job you won't quit, sometimes to your own detriment, because it's incredibly seductive to be on a series, and it's an incredibly comforting life. Sometimes you don't get to push yourself in other areas when you're that comfortable. So with the value of hindsight, I'm happy that I got off of it, because I can honestly say I wouldn't be writing the way that that I'm writing now. I would be sitting in my trailer solving fake crime, which is a wonderful thing, but I'm very happy with what I'm doing now, so.
So the door did open for you with that departure.
Yes. Gently nudged through the door. The writer thing, I think my favorite part about being a writer is that I got really sick as an actor of being told when I could act, because unless you're absolutely crazy, you can't just act in your living room. You can, but I mean, really. And I'm just not going to perform Shakespeare monologues for myself in my living room. It's just, you can't do it unless somebody's allowing you to. Writing, you can just do. And the first thing that I sold, it was a spec that I wrote, because I got pissed off. I'd screen tested for something for a solid month and didn't get it. And so I basically was like, so I just wrote something. And I wanted to have control, and I wanted to feel like I was in charge, and so for that, I love writing. Acting is probably, I mean, at this point, it's probably a lot of, I guess I would say, the people that I've met. Some of my dearest friends, like Wally Langham and I, are incredibly tight. I absolutely adore him. Patrick Warburton and I are very close. Like, I love a lot of the people that I've worked with, because they're some of the most, I mean, we're like gypsies. We lead this really strange life, and they're some of the most fantastic people that I've met, so.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question.
What does it feel like to have your writing come to life and have people speak your words?
I can tell you the moment when I thought it was the most fantastic was when, in the CSI episode, Lawrence Fishburne said a line that I wrote, and the first time it came out of his mouth, I seriously was just, I'm standing there going, oh my God, Morpheus is saying something, because I wrote it down, and I was just beside myself. I thought it was the most amazing thing. I can only imagine, and I hope I get to experience it, when you write a pilot and come up with the characters out of your own head, to see them, to sit in casting, to cast them, and to watch them come to life, is pretty exciting. So.
Okay, well, I would like to thank you very much for taking your time out of your schedule to come and
Thank you.
visit us in Calgary, and thank you for choosing Calgary to be your first convention.
Yeah, thanks
hope to
for
see you
having me.
again.
Thank you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Calgary Comic and Entertainment Expo. We would like to take a moment to remind you to please turn off your cell phones and that there is absolutely no recording or photography of this panel. If you have a chance, please take a moment to fill out our feedback surveys available upon exit. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your panel at the Calgary Comic Expo.
Hi, there we go, microphone working. Of course, well, hopefully you know me. I'm AJ Fry from Inner Space. It's weeknights on Space at 6 o'clock. We bring you behind the scenes of all your favorite genre content. And the show that precedes us is a little show called Star Trek Voyager. Anyone fans in the crowd? Well, and clearly we don't need much of an introduction for our guests. Let's just get him out here. It's Ensign Harry Kim, otherwise known as Garrett Wong, everybody! So this is kind of like deja vu for us because we did this in Halifax.
We did.
Back in November at HalCon.
Anyone at go to HalCon here? Oh, we got a
He's
couple.
got the shirt
He's got
on.
the HalCon shirt on.
All right.
Right on.
East Coast representing. But the hospitality here in Calgary, I find the two are very comparable. Super friendly people. Backstage,
Yeah.
you were telling me that if you were to move to any Canadian city,
I'd
you
move to
would pick
Calgary.
Calgary.
Yes. I would. And we were talking about if you were to move to any other city other than Toronto, you would
I
be.
said
He said
Halifax.
Halifax, actually.
Guys,
You're supposed to cheer.
guys.
There's one Halifax. Okay.
My nose has been bleeding the whole time I've been here. My lips are chapped. You're all delightful. I wish you could move to Toronto so we could live there and have nice skin.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So AJ and I have known each other for a little while now, which is good.
One of the things that came up at HalCon
Yeah.
was a fantastic story that I was hoping you could maybe open with.
Oh boy.
About
Which one?
meeting someone. If I'm not mistaken, it was in an airport. The question came up about how...
Was I there? What?
You were there.
Okay.
How your character never got promoted from ensign.
Oh no! You want that one? Okay, all right. Okay, so it's a good story. Basically, I was going to at the time Voyager. I think it was probably Voyager was already over. I was flying from Los Angeles to Baltimore, Baltimore, Maryland. I was flying with a buddy of mine, Aaron. Aaron and I were going to go visit our mutual friend, Jonathan Ogden. For those of you who follow football, he was the left tackle for the Baltimore Ravens, and he was just inducted into the Hall of Fame last year. So, yeah, great player. So we were going to visit Jonathan, and so we get on Southwest Airlines, and Southwest is kind of like the WestJet of the America, except you have no seat assignment. It's sort of sit wherever whatever seat is open. So we were the last to get on the plane. My friend Aaron sat at the front of the plane. I sat at the back of the plane. When we deplaned in Baltimore, Aaron is standing outside of at the gate waiting for me, and next to him is a young Asian American man. And I immediately assumed they were sitting next to each other. He was a fan of Voyager. He wanted to meet me, whatever. So as I walk up, my buddy Aaron goes, "Meet Harry Kim." And I thought he was introducing me. I go, hey, what's up? And he goes, no, this guy's name is Harry Kim. So then I look at the guy, I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I'm Harry Kim. And I said, well, that's cool. He goes, no, wait, the story's not done. He's like, guess what? When Star Trek Voyager was on the air, I was in the U.S. Navy, and I was Ensign Harry Kim. And I go, no, this cannot be true. He's like, yes, it was. I got so much crap for that. Every day, everyone in my unit made fun of me every single day. Ensign Kim. We start laughing, and he says, I was just wondering if I would ever get the chance to meet you, and I can't believe it. Finally, I meet you on a random flight to Baltimore. And I go, yeah, man, we're the same. He goes, no, I got promoted. So, that goes to show you that the real life Harry Kim gets promoted. And Ensign Kim, who is on the show for 7 years, the first character to die in Voyager and come back to life, who's been tortured, who's been beaten, everything happens to Kim, right? So if anyone is due a promotion, it was Kim, right? And so I asked somebody in the U.S. Navy, I said, after 7 years, if you're an ensign, the most junior officer, what are you? They're like, almost lieutenant commander, basically, right? And then Kim had to watch everybody else get demoted. Remember that? Yeah, it was like, oh, okay, you got a demotion, now you're back to, yeah, okay. And Kim's just sitting there, where's my promotion? No promotion. But that's a good starter, thank you. Yay.
Well, we're certainly going to open it up to the floor, but I got two more
Yeah.
questions before we do that.
You go.
First, just because Star Trek Voyager, it continues to air on space, it leads into Inner Space, my show,
Mm-hmm.
and it still continues to kill in the ratings. People are watching, and no doubt they've seen these episodes 3 and 4
Mm-hmm.
times before. Why do you think it has such a lasting impact, and why do people enjoy it so much?
I think, first of all, Trek episodes stand the test of time because of its creator, first of all. If you talk about Gene Roddenberry in the 60s, how when he started the whole thing, it really was a platform for him to be able to address all the craziness of the 60s, race issues, gender issues, you name it, they talked about that, or dealt with it in each episode of the original series. That legacy continued with Next Generation, went on to Deep Space, went on to Voyager, and then because of that, it's timeless then. You know, all the episodes are still current because it still deals with the human condition. And I think that is what draws people to Trek more than anything else. I had a really interesting conversation with a gentleman when I was signing autographs in New Zealand. He walks up to me and he says, "This is for my wife, she couldn't be here, she's at work." I said, "Oh, okay, what does she do?" He goes, "You're going to find this interesting. My wife is a psychologist at the federal penitentiary. So she's counseling all these inmates. These inmates come in and they talk to her about their childhood, about what went wrong in their lives. And after she assesses the situation, she finds the corresponding Star Trek episode that deals with their issue and makes them watch it as therapy." All right? That's huge. You can't say... Right, if that doesn't work with an episode of Friends, okay? You can't go, all right, when Rachel did the, no, that doesn't do anything, not at all. So really, Trek is, if anything, it's a blueprint for life in a way, right? Yeah, so I thought that was a cool little thing, yeah.
And before we open it up to the floor, I'm going to put you on the spot. I did this to you this morning.
Gosh, AJ.
You know what's coming here.
Go.
So he does a fantastic impression of Kate Mulgrew. And as you might be aware, Kate Mulgrew was recently involved in a little bit of a controversy. She narrated a video about geocentrism, which, if you're not familiar, that's the idea that everything revolves around the Earth. I don't know if anyone believes that here, but it's been proven not true, just to let you know. But anyway, Kate Mulgrew was involved in this. She did not want to be a part, or wasn't aware that this was the content of the documentary. And this morning, I had the pleasure of hearing Garrett's impression of Kate Mulgrew apologizing for her involvement in the project. I give it to you now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Kate Mulgrew. I just want to say that I had no idea that this project had anything to do with geocentrism. As an actress, I took the job from my agent calling me and telling me that this was a good job to do. So I want to apologize. In no way, shape, or form do I actually think that the rest of the universe revolves around the Earth. At that point, I just hope that you all forgive me and know that Captain Janeway will live forever in the hearts of all fans.
But actually, I'm being light on her voice, because normally it's much more
Smurfy. I mean, the more Smurf you do, the closer you get to Janeway. And if you think about helium, inhaling helium, status report, Mr. Kim.
Oh my gosh. There was actually people, AJ, I don't know if you guys know this, but in the beginning of Voyager's days, people actually stopped, they were angry about her voice. They were like, "Oh, we can't watch because of her voice." I'm like, "Oh, okay." All right. And that was a big issue in the very beginning. And then obviously they're like, "Oh, well, I guess they're not going to fire her, so we'll watch now." So anyway, we'll get Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna leave a message on your machine as her voice. How's that?
Hello there, it's Kate Mulgrew. How are you? Darling, have you seen me on my new show, Orange is the New Black? My hair's all red. I'm called Red. I play a Russian woman. Das Vidanya, baby.
Okay. Anyway.
All right, let's go to the floor for some questions for our guests. Just throw your hands up if you got one, and we'll pick you out of the crowd. Otherwise, I got lots. Right there in the baseball cap.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you know, for me, I think the original series episode with the two the races, the half black, half gray, and the other guy was the other. I mean, the race issue ones definitely for me, because I grew up in I was born in California. My father was at UC Riverside. He got his master's in botany. We then moved after 2 years to Indiana. He went to Purdue to get his PhD, also in botany. Then we moved after 2 more years to Bermuda, where my father worked for the Department of Agriculture as a plant pathologist. He was the first one to use the electron microscope when it showed up on the island. That was kind of cool. And then after that, 6 years on Bermuda, we ended up in Memphis, Tennessee, the deep, deep South, where they didn't have a lot of Asians there. You know, it was pretty much myself, my sister, and the family that owned the Chinese restaurant in Memphis. As much as I got picked on, the family that owned the restaurant in Memphis, their surname was P as in Paul, A, N as in Nancy, Pan. They named their son Peter. Bad move, okay? So if anything, I felt like, whew, at least I'm not Peter Pan, thank gosh, you know? So growing up in Memphis, there were a lot of issues for me race-wise, because I was reminded on a daily basis that I was not like everybody else. And, you know, for those of you who went to high school, which everyone did, or junior high, when you face bullying, it's not a good thing, you know? I mean, it's absolutely... I always say that it should be a felony to bully somebody, okay? You should be expelled from the school if you bully somebody. That's my honest belief, because as a kid, you don't have the ability to balance that out or protect yourself or deal with process when someone bullies you. So there was a lot of bullying for me on a daily basis in Memphis, just because of my exterior. And it's crazy because I wore the same clothes as everybody. You know, in the South, they're very preppy, they're very conservative. I even, picked up on a Southern accent, so I talked like everybody else. You know, I didn't have a Chinese accent or anything. But yet, I was constantly picked on because I didn't look the same. And not only was I picked on by Caucasians, but the African Americans were picking on me. So I'm sitting here like dodging from both sides. So anytime any episodes deal with race relations, those are the ones that ring the most for me. If I was to talk about episodes that really moved me, The Visitor, Deep Space Nine, The Visitor, that was an awesome episode that moved me a lot. I do want to bring something up that was a little crazy. Today, 2 things happened at my signing table. I don't want me to bring it down, but I just want to bring it out just so I get it off my chest. A family came up to me and said, I don't know if you remember us, but we were at Edmonton Expo, where you were at last year, and we came with another family, and if you recall, you took a picture with their young son who had cancer. I go, oh, and he showed me the picture. I go, I remember that boy, yes. Well, they were planning to come to see you at Expo here in Calgary, but the son passed away on Monday. So I was like, oh my gosh, that was the first thing that was rough. The second thing was a young lady came up to me and said, I don't know if you're familiar, but there was some shootings or something just happened recently, stabbing, in Calgary. And she said one of the deceased was my friend. And, oh God, so she basically said that one of the things that she and this friend Lawrence did was they would watch episodes of Voyager together. And the last Facebook post that he made was, he said, it's a done deal. Garrett Wang is at Expo. I'll be there to meet him. So that was a doozy, because she lost it. I lost it. The people in line behind are like, why are they crying right now? Like, what did she say to him? So that was a little rough. But at the same time, she honored him in that she came over and she said, listen, I'm here to just tell you that he was here to come see you. And I said, well, if you believe in the soul, in that we all inhabit a physical form, but our spirit is eternal, right? It continues. So in that regard, Lawrence is actually probably right next to you right now, so we kind of consolidated that, and I gave her my email, and I said, if you ever need to talk about, dealing with this, you please contact me. So it's just something that I just wanted to share with everybody that happened today.
I think we deserve a round of applause for Lawrence, right?
Yes. Lawrence, we're there for you. Lawrence Hong. Yeah. Anyway, next question. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go back to the floor. Any more
I think we had
questions?
someone up there. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, W-A-N-G, yeah, a lot of people, for instance, the designer, Vera, W-A-N-G, says she pronounces it Vera Wang. When I meet her, I'm gonna shake her, is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna like, why did you do that? You know, W-A-N-G and W-O-N-G are both pronounced the same way. The reason why they're spelled different, it denotes what, it basically tells what part of China your ancestors are from. If you're W-O-N-G, you're from southern China. If you're W-A-N-G, you're from northern China and central China. So, but in actuality, W-O-N-G is H-U-A-N-G in Mandarin. So it's really Huang is what W-O-N-G is. But Wang and W-A-N-G and W-O-N-G are pronounced the same. So that's why I try to pronounce it the way that you would pronounce it in China. And the cool thing was when the Olympics was in Beijing, the announcers were actually doing that because W-A-N-G is the same as Smith. It's the most popular last name in China. So a lot of the athletes had my last name. And someone must have talked to the announcers because they were saying like, and next up on the diving board is Wang Jiaozhu. Like, and so they were pronouncing it the right way. So that's why it's like that. Yeah. Have I thought of changing it? No, because then that would piss off my family. Like, why'd you change the W-O? But what kills me is I have one sibling, a younger sister, and she's like, my name is Laura Wang. I go, it's not Laura Wang! You're my sister! This is Ensign Harry Kim all over again! But you're my sibling! You know, it's annoying, so. I don't know why I just talked like that, but all right. Sorry, AJ?
I think there were more from the floor of it. Well, there's a blue dress. Oh, like, where you were the fan.
Okay, yeah, 2 years ago. For those of you who were here at Expo 2 years ago, I had my long hair, right? Which made me look very First Nations, by the way. So, I had my long hair, and I was sitting at the Vulcan Tourism Board, the city of Vulcan in Alberta. They had a booth, and I was just there signing autographs. And you know, someone asked me, like, someone from Expo said, "Hey, do you mind? We lost an MC, a moderator, for the Stan Lee panel. Would you like to fill in?" I go, "Huh? Me? Okay." So I go there. And I thought I could handle anything, right? So I'm sitting, so Stan Lee comes out, right? And I'm shaking his hand backstage, and I start flipping out. I'm going, oh my God, this is Stan Lee, you know? And so we're on stage, and I start tearing up while we're on stage. I'm so happy. I'm crying. I'm like, it's Stan Lee. I'm so happy. I mean, I didn't do it like that, but I'm just giving you, I mean, it was definitely, it's coming out. It was coming out. And so that was my fanboy moment, you know. But I will say, I'm going to talk about somebody else. I don't know if you've heard about DragonCon, guys, but DragonCon is in Atlanta, Georgia, every year at Labor Day weekend. I serve as the Trek track director there. So I volunteer to program all the Trek programming for DragonCon, which is comparable in size to here. It's about 65,000 fans in Atlanta, Georgia. And I remember I was in the what they call the Walk of Fame, where all the actors are. So I'm signing, and all of a sudden, Firefly.
Maven Fillion?
No.
Alan Tudyk?
No, young girl.
Girl, Jewel Staite?
Other girl.
Summer Glau, yeah.
Summer Glau. So Summer Glau. I always,
got there, guys.
yes, she walks. I always forget her name, and she's my friend. So she walks up. Because sometimes I want to call them by their character name, you know. And like for instance, Tim Russ. I never on the show. I always said Tuvok, no matter what. Even when the camera wasn't filming, hey Tuvok, what's up, man? What's going on? Tuvok, come here. You know. I'm totally segueing here, but the first time I met Tim Russ on Caretaker, we're filming Caretaker. I walk up to him. I go, hey man, you changed one letter, you would have been Tupac. And I thought I was brilliant, right? I'm like, he's like this. Rap music is the reason for the fall of modern Western civilization. That was his answer to me, okay? And I'm looking at him going, dude, I'm making a joke, right? I mean, no. I mean, he was serious. He's literally, Tim Russ is a Vulcan, okay? He's not African American. He is a Vulcan, okay? He doesn't have any, he's Vulcan. He is. So Summer Glau at DragonCon, I'm signing autographs. She walks up to me, and she's visibly shaken. She goes, Garrett. I go, what is up with you? She goes, look at my hand. And she puts her hand up, and it's doing this. It's like, I go, what is wrong with you? Are you okay? Is this a seizure? She goes, no, I just walk up to Brent Spiner's table and I can't stop shaking right now. She goes, so as a kid, she was watching Next Gen with her dad, sitting on her dad's lap. So all she knew was Next Gen, and she loved Data. So when she went up to go meet him, she couldn't stop. She fangirled, like, I mean, just vibrations of energy going, yeah. So I thought that was cute. So it does happen to us too, all right? So, yeah. Thank you.
Can I
Yay.
follow that up with something?
Yes.
So much of what we do at conventions is meeting the people whose work we admire. And
Yes.
you are very accessible. You're very, very nice with your fans.
Yes.
You engage them. But I've read some interviews with you where you spoke about other celebrities, let's not name names necessarily, but who aren't so nice with their fans,
Yeah.
who kind of treat them
Yeah.
a little bit more briefly, I guess, or curtly
Yeah.
to put it
Yeah.
in a certain way. Why is it so important for you to engage, and why are you so resentful of the people who do not?
Well, okay. My feeling is this: a lot of you guys, you've seen all the episodes of every Trek, right? And essentially, if we come into your TV, into your living room every week for 7 years worth of episodes, we're kind of almost like family in a way to you. You know what I'm saying? And so when you come to a convention, that 10, 15, 20 seconds, a minute that you come up to an autograph table to talk to me, to meet me for the first time, I want you to feel the same way I would want to feel if the roles were reversed. If you guys were the actor and I was the fan, I walk up to you, I would want you to look at me. I would want you to say hello. I would want you to say, how's your day doing? And treat me like a regular human being, you know? Because that 10, 15, 20, a minute, that experience lasts for the rest of your life, okay? And if I treat you the same way I want to be treated, I know that you're going to go home and going, you know what? He treated me awesome. That was so cool, you know? And you'll remember that for a long, long time. And that'll get you past when con is over and you're feeling those con blues and you're like, oh, con's over, you know? Because I feel the same thing. And you can think back on those memories and those thoughts, right? So when other actors are very short or kind of upset with the fandom, I almost start thinking, well, why are you here? You know what I'm saying? Maybe you shouldn't even come then, because you have to realize that it doesn't take much to be nice to somebody. You know what I'm saying? To realize the other person is of value and exists here as a fellow human being, because you and I, we're all made of the same atoms of energy, right? So in essence, I am you, and you are me. You know what I'm saying? So, and if more people would understand that, the quantum physics behind that, there absolutely probably wouldn't be any more murders, because if you kill someone, you just killed yourself, basically. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the problem. That's the issue there. So I really, really don't like it when people were kind of rude, But in defense of some of these people, sometimes at the conventions, the line is so long that they're not even able to really give any time, But then at the same time, let's just say it. We're talking about Shatner right now. Okay, so watch this. You're in a line to get Shatner's autograph. You've paid anywhere from $80 to $120 for that autograph. While you're in line, a staff member from the convention comes over and says, excuse me, when you go up to Mr. Shatner, make sure you don't look at him, don't talk to him, don't engage him in anything, and just blah, blah. So a handler gets the thing, and he signs, and he does this. He doesn't even look up. What is that? You gotta look up for a second, right? And the thing is, yes, sometimes it's a huge line, but here's the thing. Let's take somebody else from that same show, George Takei. If you go to George Takei's line, he'll talk. Oh, so how many kids do you have? It's so great to meet you, and I just like to say that I'm having a great time in Calgary, and you have a dog also. Okay, so what's your dog's name? Can I sign this to your dog also? Okay. Oh, all right. Oh, I remember you from Edmonton. Yes, you look great. Oh my goodness, your children have grown so much. Let me guess. Hold on. Susie and Timmy? I got that. That guy understands it. He gets it. Okay? So if you haven't met George Takei, please take the time to go meet him if he's ever in any other Canadian city, because that man is a gem. He's a true diamond in the rough, and unfortunately, he's up there in age, and so, he's not going to be around that much, forever. So the bottom line is, meet him if you can, because he's a true gentleman. And it's amazing that he takes so much time with each fan. So I think if Sulu can do it, Kirk can do it too. You know what I'm saying? That's all.
Well
Yeah, because
said.
you're referring to, you know what you're referring to. There's, if you go on a Google search, you'll see, there's a headline. Garrett Wang hates William Shatner. Okay, I don't hate William Shatner. I don't. I'm a huge fan of Captain Kirk. I'm just not a fan of when William Shatner is at a convention. That's the best way to put it, right? That's all. Simple as that. Yeah.
Let's go back to the
Yeah.
crowd right there.
Hello. Why, yes. Oh, my. Oh, I'll hug you until the cows come home. Yeah. I made a reference for Calgary. Okay. Let's just keep talking like this for the entire panel. Yeah. See? No, he's not. He smiled. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, when you see me, I'll hug you. That's for sure. All right. Anyway, I just want to go to Patrick Stewart's story. This is. Can I just? Yeah. This is crazy. It was probably maybe the third episode of Voyager was being filmed, so this is very early in the game. And I walk on set, and Patrick Stewart is sitting in a director's chair next to the director and the producer. And so I walk on, I'm like, Now, let's just rewind a little bit. I loved Dune. I loved his character in Dune. I loved his character in Excalibur. So I've been following Patrick Stewart forever, basically. So when he pops up on the set randomly, I was a little fanboy. I was like, so I walk over. I'm like, yeah, Mr. Stewart. Hello, I'm Garrett Wang. I know who you are. And I went, I couldn't catch my breath. He goes, I know who you are. And I said, oh my God, really? And he's like, I had the chance to watch Voyager. And then he said, I watched the first episode, Caretaker. Excellent work. And when he said that, I felt like I was knighted by the Queen. It was like, I knight you, Sir Harry of Kim. Boom, boom, like that. It was just like, his score. Patrick Stewart complimented me. How good does it get but that? People Magazine has an issue called the 50 Most Beautiful People issue that comes out every year, right? And there are only 2 people that were in that issue. Patrick Stewart and me! It was like awesome! It was like, yes! We got it there! Oh, I love that. But the funny thing was, it was 1997 when I was in that, and like in 1998, the makeup artists in the Voyager trailer were like, oh yeah, I guess you're number 65 now, so you didn't make 50. So each year after, they would put me at a lower number. Oh, you must be 230 now. Sorry, they keep really pushing me further down. Yeah, but that was fun. Another question?
Yeah, any more from the crowd? Right there.
Was the coffee any good on the show? Are you referring to Janeway?
There's coffee in that nebula.
Is that what you're referring to, kind of a thing? Yeah. Yeah, there was a whole coffee reference all the time on there, right? Yeah. Coffee on the set was horrible, actually, I think. No, I don't know. I'm not a coffee drinker, actually. I drink tea. I like green tea, mostly. But I wouldn't be able to answer that. But nice question, though. Thank you. Yes? Hello? Oh, you're welcome for, yes, you have a photo that I signed, yes, and? Okay, do me a favor, come up here. AJ, can you just put that mic up to this young man's, that's a diatribe, go ahead.
Thank you. People are now talking about a technological singularity where humans will have their lifespan extended to the point where we will be far more intelligent and our lifespan will be far longer. You're an actor, and if a movie script came to you where you'd play one of 2 brothers in the future who'd have this choice presented to them, would you rather play the logical Spock character who would decide that this decision is for the better, or the McCoy character who refuses to accept this choice and insists that we are losing too much of our humanity by saying yes?
Whew! Now that man took some time to prepare that question. Round of applause. Thank you. All right. Thank you. You can sit down now. Thank you. Okay. Thanks, AJ. That was a mouthful, wasn't it?
It was.
Okay. So would I rather choose Spock or McCoy? I think I would pick McCoy. I would go with that instead of the logical side. I would pick the humanity side over the logical side. Thank you. Yeah.
Why?
Why? Because that's been my pet peeve about Voyager. Honestly, was when we got the show, the executive producers sat us down and said, "Congratulations on getting their parts. Now we have to make an announcement. For those of you playing human characters, we need you to downplay your roles." We're like, huh? We want your delivery to be more mechanical, more two-dimensional, more militaristic, because this is the only way to make the aliens look real. This was what they said. Rick Berman said this. And I said, what? That doesn't make any sense. So sure enough, season 1, anytime anyone delivered too much emotion in their lines, they sent a little memo to our trailers saying, you will reshoot that scene on Thursday, because that was way too much. So I had to reshoot. After 2 scenes that I had to reshoot, I give up. I'm not going to try to buck the system. And I just kind of played along. And I said, slowly in 7 years, I'll keep adding as much as I can, right? And I did. The colors came into it. Well, people don't know this, but Janeway reshot over 40 scenes the first season. There were scenes where Janeway was crying, season 1. There were scenes where Janeway was furious. You don't see that. You don't see any of that, you know, because they changed all of that stuff. So for me, I always believe, I disagree with that. I think the human character should be as human as possible because they are human. We all experience emotions. And everyone has already bought into the existence of the aliens. It's not like, you know, people are like, well, you know, we don't really believe in Klingons. We don't believe that they're possible. No, people already believe that, right? So why would you change that after 40 some odd years of Trek at that point? You know, why would you do that? So, yeah, it's kind of odd. Anyway, hope that answers your question in some. Yeah, you're welcome. Whew, any shorter questions? Okay, AJ, pick one.
Right up there above the Blue Spirit.
Thank you.
About the Beowulf episode, you remember that one? Should have been a Harry Kim, ended up being a doctor episode.
Yes.
You had one shot at the end where you were in period costume.
Yes.
You had your hero pose.
Yes.
Hero suit way in. Did you ever get a chance to do a period piece as an actor? It wasn't just Harry Kim getting screwed over there. It was you, Garrett, getting screwed over there.
Yeah, it was. It was really. Well, you know, it's funny because we did an episode where it was with Q in it back in the U.S. Civil War. Do you guys remember that? The Q in the gray. Yeah. Well, so I'm all decked out in Civil War garb, right? And believe it or not, they overexposed 3 canisters of film of all my footage, basically. Gone, right? So all the stuff, I'm running around, I'm shooting and everything. I run up to Janeway in her cool little hoop dress and everything. All gone. So every time, you know, we got to do something cool, period piece, film was overexposed there. The end of the Beowulf one. Oh, you just see me a little bit in the costume, and that's it. When the Hirogen took over Voyager and used it as a training thing for their soldiers. Everyone got to go into the holodeck. Neelix got to be a Klingon, right? He got to go. Okay, that's great. All right. Chakotay and Paris, they get to play World War II U.S. Soldiers, right? They're like, hey, all right, guys, hey, and then what does Kim do? Kim is stuck on the ship. He's sitting there, I'm dealing with EPS conduits and relays. What? Can I wear the World War II period? No, someone's got to be on the ship. I'm like, so I really, you know what I felt like? I felt like the graveyard manager of a 7-Eleven is what I felt like. It was just sort of like, no respect. It's just like, it's just you. You get to handle that, you know? Well, you're captain from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., you know? I'm like, oh. So yeah, it was kind of annoying that Kim didn't get that chance to play period piece, because I love. Thank you. I know. Thank you for bringing out the pain. Okay. Love you. I'll hug you too. That's all right. Don't worry about it. Right. Question?
Any more from the floor on this side? Right there.
Yes. Twitter and social media. The question was Twitter and social media. How has that changed my interaction with the fans? Would I have liked to have that when it was when the show was on the air? Right. Yeah. You know, it's crazy because in Hollywood now, according to Bob Picardo, the doctor, he told me, he's like, Garrett, I just want to tell you, I don't know if you know this, but in Hollywood, if the role is between 2 actors and the producer and the director can't decide who who they want for the part, they'll actually look at who has more Twitter followers. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And they do that. I started Twitter years ago, but I tweeted 12 times like 4 or 5 years ago when Jerry Ryan first got me on. And then I lost my phone when I was in Spain, like right after those 12 tweets. And I'm like, and I never really got back onto it until last May. So I went from 12 tweets for 4 years, whatever, and then from last May till now, I'm at 4,000 something, and so it's completely changed. I tweet all the time. That's my main social media, and I think it would have been awesome back then, because it is the one way that you can really get some contact with them, and you know it too, for your Twitter account. Yeah. Some random person in Northern Territory, whatever, can sit there and go, hey, AJ, what's up with that? And AJ can answer right back, which is it's so immediate. It's literally like an ongoing convention panel is what it is, right? I mean, it never ends. So, and in a way, for me, as social as I am, as personable as I am, it's an ideal medium for myself. And I really do wish that it was in existence during Voyager days. That would be wonderful. But it's around now, so it's good, and I will use it to the fullest extent for sure. It's at Garrett RWANG for Twitter. I'm also on Instagram, but I'm mostly on Twitter. Facebook, you can follow that, but I'm really more on Twitter now. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Anything more from the floor?
Okay, how about here?
Oh,
Yeah.
right there in front row.
Oh boy. Yeah. What is our opinion of the new the JJ reboots and when they play with time and eliminate Vulcan, right? Yeah. No, hold on. No, all right. I'll tell you right now. When the first reboot came around, the first thing that happened is actually when they were filming, J.J. Abrams made a decree. He said, "Okay, other than Leonard Nimoy, any actor who's ever acted in Trek is not allowed to be in my film. Anybody who worked on camera is not allowed to do camera on my Trek. Anybody who was makeup on any other incarnation of Trek, basically any support staff was not allowed to work on his Trek, okay? Which I thought, well, that stinks. And then when they had their premiere, when they premiered the first was it 2008 or 2009? 2009, when they premiered the first one, the first JJ reboot, they had the Hollywood premiere. They invited no one except for Leonard Nimoy. None of us got the invite to come to the premiere, which I thought was what a slap in the face that was, right? It was, who was it? Rod Roddenberry, Gene Roddenberry's son, actually had a screening at Paramount Studios, and he invited all the people that were camera people, the makeup people, and all the actors, and we came there, and this was before it came out in the movie theaters. And I remember sitting down, and I was so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, I hope this is good. I hope it's not bad, because I'm part of Trek too, and I was so nervous. And that first shot, you see that shot, the camera goes across the hull of the ship, right? You hear the familiar ping, and all of a sudden, boom, the first scene is that huge, the massive futuristic Romulan mining ship comes out, and it's just all hell breaks loose. The shot where the woman, everything's going crazy, she gets sucked out in the airlock and it's quiet like that, and then it goes back into the craziness. I'm just sitting there going, I'm just watching going, oh my gosh, and literally not once in a 2-hour and 6-minute movie did I look at my clock, my watch and go, oh, I gotta be somewhere. I was just glued, because the pacing of that film, whether or not you're mad about the timeline, the pacing of that film was perfect, okay? It was fast action and then slow. Because the slow part would be, you got to see what Kirk looked like as a kid. You got to see little Spock getting bullied by the other, by the full-blooded Vulcans, right? Right? Little play on the bullying stuff, right? So it was just like, hey, I feel just like Spock did, okay? So it was like, oh, I related to it. So everything about that film, from the casting, oh my gosh. If you talk about what an amazing job for McCoy, right? It was like, oh, that monologue about space, amazing, right? So I was so excited. And after the film was over, what I did was I became an ambassador, basically, because right after that screening, I got down to go to Cape Canaveral to watch one of the last launches of the space shuttle. So while I was there, guess what they were playing at Cape Canaveral's IMAX? The Star Trek movie. So I go straight over there, I buy tickets, and the same thing happened. people in front of me in line are like, okay, whoa, what are you doing here? I'm a human being. I like to watch movies also. And so I'm in concessions. I'm like, I'll take 2 popcorns. And people are like, whoa, what are you doing here? I go, I like movies like that. I go, where are you guys sitting there? Oh, what? I'm going to sit with you. Like, what? So here I am sitting with all the fans. So I watched it at Cape Canaveral. I told other people in line at the launch that, oh, you got to see the Trek film. So I met them the day after Cape Canaveral in Orlando to see it at IMAX again. So that was my 3rd time, okay? And then I went overseas for a convention. Now I'm in the Netherlands, right? I'm in Amsterdam. I'm like, okay, where's it playing? Oh, there's an IMAX theater, and I have to take a train. I have to take public transit an hour and 10 minutes out of Amsterdam. I'm doing it. So boom, I take an hour and 10-minute train all the way out to this IMAX theater in wherever it was. And the same thing. The Dutch friend's like, what are you doing here? Like that. I'm like, I like movies. So I watched it 12 or 13 times. Wow. Yeah, and now here's the funny thing. They have the Saturn Awards, the Sci-Fi Awards comes around, and they're honoring J.J. Abrams. So sure enough, I show up, and I'm waiting at the after party. J.J. walks in, and I go, hey, wait, what's up, J.J.? Hey, thanks for the invite for your for the premiere. And he's like, hey, man, sorry, And I go, that's okay, J.J., because I saw your movie 13 times, and I paid for the fans in front of me and behind me. And they're like, he's like, what? You did what? He kind of gave me that look like, you're crazy, But it just showed me how much I loved it. Now, let's flash forward to the next installment, all right? I took a picture of myself in the movie theater, beaming before the movie began. And I tweeted, about to watch the new Trek film, like that. All right, after the movie was done, I deleted the tweet. I was like, no. Because to me, that movie, Star Trek Into Darkness, STID, the acronym, I tweeted later, I go, STID stands for Star Trek Imitating Die Hard, okay? Because to me, it was all action. I almost felt like Man of Steel had more sci-fi elements than the Trek film. And I was very upset with the reversal of what happened. Has everyone seen? Yeah, pretty much, right? Okay, I'm not spoiling anything, right? All right. Yeah, Spock yelling Kirk, right? What the heck? Come on now. Let's not recycle stuff like that, right? And then they bring in Khan. They should have just left that guy as not Khan, but as whatever. And you know what they should have did? They should have panned across some of the other crew members in those stasis tubes and said, there's the real Khan right there, right? That would have been smart.
That would've been awesome.
Right. But instead, they cast the most. Now, I have nothing against Benedict Cumberbatch, because when I tweeted this, all the Benedict Cumberbatch fans came and they stepped on me. They're like, how dare you? How dare you say that he's not a good Khan? I said, no, okay, let's go back to the history of who is Khan? Khan is a genetically engineered super warrior. He is Sikh of origin. What is Sikh? East Indian. It's Asian, right? Okay, Ricardo Montalban is not Asian, but boy, he did a damn good job though, didn't he? I mean, he was amazing as Khan. So why mess with that, first of all, right? And now you cast probably one of the skinniest guys in Hollywood. And like, that guy's gonna be believable that he's gonna beat up 37 Klingons in that one scene? Not, okay? That's not gonna happen. And I remember the tweets from some of the Cumberbatch fans. They're like, how dare you? Benedict spent 6 weeks with a trainer bulking up. And I said, okay. I tweeted back, I said, let me just put this into perspective, okay? All right, take regular English dude, all right? Normal English guy off the street, and give him 6 weeks of training, and now he's the normal size of an American or Canadian guy, okay? That doesn't work out. That's what happens, all right? Now, so it was just like, are you kidding me? No. So and the crazy thing is this, J.J. Abrams had the ideal actor to play Khan already, that he already has a relationship with. J.J. Abrams produced Lost, the TV series Lost. There's an actor who played Saeed in there. That actor was also in a movie called English Patient. That man knows how to act. Okay, he's as good as Benedict Cumberbatch in terms of his talent, and he is Sikh in background, and he's bulky looking. You know what I'm saying? I would believe that guy kicks Klingon booty, but not Benedict. Benedict would have been broken in half like a toothpick in real life, blink, like that. So I hated the second one. So I'm sorry if anyone was a big fan of that second one, I'm sorry. It was real pretty. It looked beautiful, but there was no substance. It was fluff, fluff, fluff. So, yeah.
Well, we did get the wrap. We don't want to end on you bashing.
I know. Oh my God. Let's say something happy. What do you think?
Any message for the fans who've come out to your Q&A?
Yes, I want to thank you all for taking the time to come out to my Q&A. I hope I have entertained you in some regards, and yes. And I truly, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you for all the years of support you guys have given, because honestly, without you guys, there would be no Trek. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, and I will give you your hug when I see you, okay? Thank you! AJ! Give a clap for this man. Yes. Thank you, buddy. Have a good con!